An artist that I miss dearly, I don't think there's anyone I miss more than Tina Turner. There will never be another one of her. We will not get her again. And I miss dearly the queen of rock and roll.
An artist that you miss dearly.
And then I turned into a Prince fan, of course, when I was in high school. So Prince.
That was the same for me.
Was it? Yeah. And then he interested me, like, because I play instruments and I sing and play, and it's so crazy. There was an article written about me in my little small town. I'm from Stanford, Kentucky, and when I bought that record, I came to Louisville, got it, and all my friends thought it was a rock record. I'm like, what in the world are you listening to? I'm like, man, this dude's gonna be the dude. He plays everything, he writes everything, he sings everything. I already knew, like, oh no, he's gonna be the dude.
I saw him in D.C. at a show that didn't start till midnight, and he came out with Larry Graham. No announcement, no nothing. They just started playing, and I don't think I really knew how badass he was on guitar.
I put down David Bowie. It's one of the biggest regrets that I have not seeing live. I only had one or two opportunities in the 90s and wish that I had taken more advantage of that. He's the artist I have the most number of records of in my collection. I think we're up to somewhere around 130, 140 David Bowie records in our collection. And I love every single one of them. So yeah, that's who I'm going to say. I'm sad knowing, we'll get some archival stuff here and there. I'll buy any single live record that comes out that I don't already own. But yeah, Bowie, that's my choice.
Steve Albini was one of my dearest friends. He died in May, and 2 weeks before my mother died, and I miss him every day. I watch an inordinate number of videos of him on YouTube, just trying to... It's weird to have a dead friend for whom there's such a prodigious video and audio record. But when it comes to Steve, I miss him personally. I miss the music he would have made. I miss all the bands he would have recorded. Some bands maybe will never make records now because getting to work with Steve was their incentive to get the money together to do it. The philanthropy, the people he brought together, like, I've never been more aware of what a loss it is when someone dies than I was when Steve passed. Just all the lives he would have impacted.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks.
I thought about this, and again, an artist I'd miss dearly. It's a little strong, but currently I'm revisiting, and I've been a fan of hers for years, but thanks to the last Black Friday Record Store Day, I think she's got up back into the forefront, and people are figuring out who Emily Remler was. And I feel like when you go back and you read and look at interviews she did, she had the chops to be in any genre she wanted to be. She had spoke about being a rock guitarist, and kind of, again, when you're female trying to get in the music business, it's like, where do you fit in? And you're by default always going to be a folk, in the folk field. And when she launched into like doing jazz, particularly at a point in history for the genre where it was more commercial to be, smoother jazz, or that was a little bit more commercial of a sound. And to hear her discuss her background, and also it's kind of sad because her star for what it was only very short-lived. And there's an interview where she talks about, not falling into the trap of, drug addiction and whatnot. And just to think that, ultimately that's what got her to.
An artist you miss dearly.
Jerry.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm still sticking with my funk stuff. It was Parliament Live. A lot of people didn't buy it, but it was recorded well, and a lot of R&B and soul people never bought live records, and that was one of the first, live records. There was others, Isley Brothers, Ike and Tina Turner, stuff like that, but That was the first one that was a double album where a lot of the R&B guys bought, and we sit around and listen to it a lot.
This is probably the easiest answer. Curtis Live by Curtis Mayfield, the GOAT. To me, Curtis is beyond music. He's more like the Buddha or Malcolm X. He's like a figure who was sent here to like teach us how to be human beings better. You know, like his music's incredible. As a guitar player, as a singer, as a band leader, as a songwriter. But yeah, Curtis is the GOAT to me.
What was the group he was in before he went on his own?
The Impressions.
And do you have a favorite one of those records?
I mean, the Young Mod's Forgotten Story and This Is My Country almost feel like one record of a piece, so it would be one of those two. But he was surprisingly consistent, and I'll listen to anything Curtis is on.
It's so distinctive.
Or anything on Curtom Records, the record label he founded. They released a lot of great records by other people, like the Five Stair Steps and yeah.
The best live album in my collection is Fela Kuti and Ginger Baker Live, the epitome of percussion. If you like percussion at all, you will never find a better record.
And Ginger Baker played with
Cream. Yes, Cream's Ginger Baker. He went to Nigeria to record with Fela Kuti, who was doing amazing work out of Nigeria, combining jazz and American soul into traditional African rhythms. Obviously, this sparked Ginger Baker's interest, and they did multiple recordings together. Yep.
And that was live. Is that like a single or a double, or what is the...
It is a single record, maybe 3 songs, 4 songs. They're long songs, yeah.
If you ask me today, I might say it's James Brown live at the Apollo. I might say it's Jerry Lee Lewis live at the Star Club Hamburg. You decide which day it is. I can't quite decide which one of those two, but there's something about the earliest days of putting out a live album. And maybe that's the thing, 62, 64. The concept of a live album had not really been established. And 2 of the most dynamic performers, you know, gave us kind of the first ideas of what a live album could sound like. I mean, obviously I could have picked, you know, B.B. King live at the Regal. There's several in that run, but those are the first 2 that like come to mind.
The best live album in your collection?
I feel so repetitive. Grateful Dead 71, the Grateful Dead album.
Best live album in my collection is a funny one that changed just in the last like 8 months or so. I have chosen Blur's Live at Wembley Stadium, and I've chosen it because I was at that show. We flew over to make sure that we got a chance to see them, you know, on their home turf, in one of the most iconic venues in the world. 30th anniversary of Parklife, so I mean the show was all bangers. The album cover on that is just a crowd shot from the stage, and if you use your phone and zoom in, you can't make us out, but you can see like which section we're sitting in, and it's like, oh, I know I'm sitting right there. So that was pretty cool.
I am putting on Gather Me by Melanie, particularly the song Steppin', which says, the refrain is, I'm going out stepping with my new man tonight. I don't date men, but that to me is the best song about the exhilaration of sudden freedom, you know? But the song also talks about how sad it is that, you know, it's lamenting what is lost while standing up for the future. But I submit that Surface Noise sells more Melanie records than any record store in the world. And if somebody wants to get in the ring and prove otherwise, I'd be happy to look at your numbers. If you don't know about Melanie, maybe the most underrated singer and songwriter in American music. She's best known for Brand New Key, which was in Boogie Nights, which is passed off as a kind of novelty song, even though it's a feminist anthem. Most of her work is really dark, complex, Baroque kind of chamber folk music. Brand New Key isn't. She has some other hippy dippy anthems, but the 2/3 of her work is just really serious, dark, complex music that is belied by public image.
If I just got dumped by my wife, God forbid, or if anyone, theoretically, if I were get dumped, I would listen to Dark Throne's Transylvanian Hunger. If you need anger, yeah, there's nothing angrier than black metal.
Vocal harmony, street corner vocal harmony, doo-wop, whatever language you want to use to describe it. Mostly because, as a wise person said, like, when you're happy, you listen to the music, and when you're sad, you listen to the words.
Your partner just dumped you. What album are you putting on?
Matthew Sweet Girlfriend.
I love that record.
Excellent from beginning to end.
It's the chart of an entire relationship, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And it plays through so.
Oh, it's so great.
I think it's an almost perfect.
Absolutely. It could have been. I thought there was another question that I could have used that as well. Beginning to end and repeat.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It makes me think about getting kind of drunk and being sad. Oftentimes when I get drunk and get sad, I'm listening to the final Songs of Haya album, Magnolia Electric Company. Just, hauntingly beautiful, but very, very dark. Yeah, that's my choice on that one.
I put down Larry Graham, One in a Million. I was trying to get Larry Graham in there somewhere, and I'm like, man, that dude done that sappy album, and I used to listen to it. Oh, sappy album.
My choice for that is one of my favorite records on the legendary Blue Note Jazz label. It is Pete LaRocca and his 1965 album Basra. It's the only one he ever released under his own name, but he was a session player for probably around 400 different Blue Note records over a 20-year time period. It's great, like kind of Middle Eastern, international vibes going on a drum-heavy, I don't know. It's great.
Best sounding drums on an album. I know when I got my new system, the album that blew me away the most was Azimuth's Light of the World. Azimuth are a Brazilian jazz combo that are internationally known, internationally recognized, and their drum sound is incredible. So if you haven't heard Azimuth, or if you already know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about, but check them out.
The best sounding drums on an album.
Clyde Stubblefield. Need I say more? So we're going to pick, for the sake of the answer, Sex Machine, James Brown.
All right, the best sounding drums on an album.
Did I have to pick a song? I picked Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
All of them. John, yeah.
Yeah. Nobody sounds like
Yeah.
But he ever will.
Phil Collins was back in my brain, but only because I'm an 80s girl. And you just hear
Well, his drums sound great.
yeah.
Stevie Wonder, Talking Book. One of my big things was it Superstition? There is the drums on that, and then I'm like, man, that album was recorded well,
He's playing drums.
and he's playing drums on that. Yeah.
I mean, I could easily say Funhouse, but there's something about and I can't think of another instance where like one instrument sound captivates me so much. The kick drum on Green Eyed Lady by Sugarloaf. There's just something about the sound of that kick drum, like ever since I heard it on the radio as a kid. I don't know. I don't know if the drums in general on that record are the best sounding. I could say a Big Star record, as I said, something about the drums at Ardent. And Tejas by ZZ Top was cut at Ardent too. And parts of Led Zeppelin 3, they have pretty good sounding drums. But something about that kick drum on that Sugarloaf track just always, man, it's so present and warm, and you can just really feel it in your body. I like drums that, the drum is the heartbeat of the music. So, a lot of people didn't like 80s production because there was so much more space and gated snares and, you know, air around it. I think the best drums to me like feel like they're part of the body. They feel bloody and fleshly.